Let me see lead counsel at sidebar for just a minute. Okay, Mr. Baez, there's a portion of the opening statement dealing with the defendant having an absolute right to remain silent. Do you want that portion read, sir? Okay, let's bring the jury in. Members, you sit down when you come in. Members of the jury, you sit down when you come in. State recognized presence of the jury. And does the defense? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I hope you had a safe trip over. Hope all is well. Okay. Now, did you heed all my previous admonitions while we were absent from each other, not to read, watch, nor listen to any news accounts of this case? Not to discuss this case with anyone. And last but not least, not to engage in any internet searches or any type of social media type searches. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected and sworn as the jury to try the case of the state of Florida versus Casey Marie Anthony. This is a criminal case. The defendant is charged with the crimes of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter of a child, and 4 counts of providing false information to a law enforcement officer. The definition of the elements of those crimes will be explained to you later. It is your solemn responsibility to determine if the state has proved its accusations beyond a reasonable doubt against the defendant. Your verdict must be based solely on the evidence or lack of evidence and the law. The indictment is not evidence and is not to be considered by you as any proof of guilt. It is the judge's responsibility to decide which laws apply to this case and to explain those laws to you. It is your responsibility to decide what the facts of this case may be and to apply the law to those facts. Thus, the province of the jury and the province of the court are well defined and they do not overlap. This is one of the fundamental principles of our system of justice. Before proceeding further, it would be helpful if you understand how a trial is conducted. At the beginning of the trial, attorneys will have an opportunity, if they wish, to make an opening statement. The opening statement gives the attorneys a chance to tell you what evidence they believe will be presented during the trial. What the lawyers say is not evidence, and you are not to consider it as such. Following opening statements, witnesses will be called to testify under oath. They will be examined and cross-examined by the attorneys. Documents and other exhibits also may be produced as evidence. After the evidence has been presented, the attorneys will have an opportunity to make their final arguments. Following arguments by the attorneys, the court will instruct you on the law applicable to the case. After the instructions are given, you will then retire to consider your verdict. You should not form any definite or fixed opinions on the merits of the case until you have heard all of the evidence, the argument of the lawyers, and the instructions on the law by the judge. Until that time, you should not discuss the case among yourselves. During the course of the trial, the court may take recesses. During these recesses, you will be permitted to go back into the jury room and take care of some things there. During these recesses, you will not discuss the case with anyone, nor permit anyone to say anything to you or in your presence about the case. If anyone attempts to say anything to you or in your presence about this case, tell that individual that you're on the jury trying the case and ask that individual to stop. If he or she persists, leave that individual at once and immediately report the matter to the court deputy, who will advise me. The case must be tried by you only on the evidence presented during the trial in your presence, in the presence of the defendant, the attorneys, and the judge. Jurors must not conduct any investigation of their own. This includes reading newspapers, watching television, or using a computer, cell phone, the internet, any electronic device, or any other means at all to get information related to this case or the people or places described in this case. This applies whether you are in the courthouse, at home, or anywhere else. You must not visit any of the places mentioned in the trial or use the internet to look at maps or pictures to see any places discussed in the trial. Jurors must not have discussions of any sort with friends or family members about the case or the people and places involved. So do not let even the closest family members make comments to you or ask questions about the trial. In this age of electronic communications, I want to stress again that just as you must not talk about this case face-to-face, you must not talk about this case using an electronic device. You must not use phones, computers, or other electronic devices to communicate. Do not send or accept any messages related to this case or your jury service. Do not discuss this case or ask for advice by any means at all, including posting information on the internet website, chat room, or blog. In every criminal proceeding, a defendant has the absolute right to remain silent. At no time is it the duty of a defendant to prove her innocence. From the exercise of the defendant's right to remain silent, a jury is not permitted to draw any inference of guilt, and the fact that a defendant did not take the witness stand must not influence your verdict in any manner whatsoever. The attorneys are trained in the rules of evidence and trial procedure, and it is their duty to make all objections they feel are proper. When an objection is made, you should not speculate on the reason why it is made. Likewise, when an objection is sustained or upheld by me, you must not speculate on what might have occurred had the objection not been sustained, nor what a witness might have said had he or she been permitted to answer. If you would like to take notes during the trial, you may do so. On the other hand, of course, you are not required to take notes if you do not want to. That will be left up to you individually. You will be provided with a notepad and a pen for use if you wish to take notes. Any notes that you take will be for your personal use. However, you should not take them with you from the courtroom. During recesses, the court deputy will take possession of your notes and will return them to you when we reconvene. After you have completed your deliberations, the court deputy will deliver your notes to me. They will be destroyed. No one will ever read your notes. If you take notes, do not get so involved in note-taking that you become distracted from the other proceedings. Your notes should be used only as an aid to your memory. Whether or not you take notes, you should rely on your memory of the evidence, and you should not be unduly influenced by the notes of other jurors. Notes are not entitled to any greater weight than each juror's memory of the evidence. Does the state care to make an opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, we would.
You may proceed.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Orange County. As we have heard several times throughout the course of the jury selection proceedings, this is the case of the state of Florida versus Casey Marie Anthony. However, it is time to tell the story of a little girl named Kaylee. This isn't just a case about Casey Marie Anthony. It's a story about Kaylee Anthony as well. Kaylee Anthony was born on August 9th of 2005. It was a Tuesday. And Kaylee lived nearly every day of her life on a quiet residential street in Orlando called Hope Spring Drive. Her doting grandparents, George and Cindy Anthony, filled her room with toys and stuffed animals. Kaylee's room was decorated with every imaginable Winnie the Pooh item available. In the backyard of George and Cindy Anthony's home was every little girl's dream, a playhouse. Complete with her own mailbox, with her name and street address affixed. Kaylee's grandparents, George and Cindy, moved to Orlando in 1989 from Eastern Ohio. They came here with their children, Casey Anthony, the defendant in this case, who was 3, and her older brother, Lee Anthony, who at that time was about 7 years of age. They moved from Eastern Ohio to the address on Hope Spring Drive and have been there ever since. George Anthony, a former police detective in Ohio, has worked a variety of security jobs here in Orange County, as well as some other types of jobs. Cindy Anthony, a nurse, has worked continuously in the medical profession, working her way up to a management position. When their 19-year-old daughter, Casey, told them in June of 2005 that she was pregnant, they were concerned, yet elated at the prospect of becoming grandparents for the very first time. George and Cindy Anthony committed to helping their daughter financially and with providing support to little Kaylee Marie that a loving and stable home could offer. After a brief maternity leave, Mr. and Mrs. Anthony, George and Cindy Anthony, believed that their daughter, Casey, had returned to a job that she once had at Universal Studios. George and Cindy Anthony believed that Casey Anthony was a hardworking, single young mother. Over the next 2.5 years, Kaylee Anthony appeared to have an idyllic life. She was loved by her grandparents. They took lots of pictures of her. They doted on her. She was the apple of their eye. She did things like swim in the backyard, in the family's pool, an above-ground pool. She watched SpongeBob with JoJo, which is what she called her grandfather, George. She wore a Spider-Man outfit. And as I had mentioned, did a lot of smiling for the camera. Casey Anthony, Kaylee's mother, appeared to all outward observers to be what her parents thought she was. A loving mother working hard to provide support for her daughter. But as the evidence in this case and the investigation into the background of Casey Anthony will show, that was an illusion. Casey Anthony was not employed. Casey Anthony, dressed in work clothes, had a universal ID, and went who knows where for 2 years after Kaylee Anthony was born. Although the cracks in Casey Anthony's facade began to break and show themselves or be revealed in the weeks and months prior to June of 2008, Father's Day, June 15th of 2008, started out as a typical Sunday in the Anthony household. You will hear during the course of this case that George Anthony, at that time, in June of 2008, had a security job that had him working regularly from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Cindy Anthony's job as a nurse manager had her working hours closer to 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. George Anthony worked that Sunday, Father's Day of 2008, starting his shift at 3 p.m. Cindy Anthony took her beautiful little granddaughter to see her great-grandfather, Cindy's father, who was in a nursing facility in Mount Dora. Cindy Anthony took her video camera and a still camera with her to record the events of Father's Day of 2008, June 15th. Cindy Anthony, unknowingly, of course, at that time, took the last known photograph of her granddaughter, Kaylee Anthony. On that Father's Day in Mount Dora, Kaylee Anthony snuggled with her great-grandfather, who she called Papa. She colored, she read, she sang, and she had fun. Eventually, the afternoon grew longer, and Cindy, her grandma, decided they needed to leave. Cindy Anthony returned to the home on Hope Spring with Kaylee, and they swam in the pool, and Kaylee had fun. Casey Anthony, according to her cell phone records from that day, spent most of it with her new boyfriend, Tony Lazaro. She arrived back at the Hope Spring address, again according to her cell phone records, around 7:30 in the evening. As I told you, George Anthony worked the 3 to 11 shift. And according to testimony that you will hear from both George and Cindy Anthony, that evening, everything appeared to be fine. They went to bed, readied themselves for the typical start to a work week, or so they thought. On Monday, June 16th, Cindy Anthony goes to work, as I've described, sometime between 7 and 8 a.m., and is out of the house until the late evening. Until the early. George Anthony, again, has to work the 3 to 11 shift and is up early, had breakfast with his granddaughter, Kaylee, and noted that his daughter, Casey, began to get ready for work around noon, shortly before. George Anthony specifically recalls that at 12:50 p.m. on June 16th of 2008, his daughter, Casey, left the residence on Hope Spring Drive with Kaylee Marie Anthony. Kaylee was wearing a pink shirt, jean shorts, sunglasses, and a backpack. And Jojo, George Anthony, kissed his granddaughter goodbye and never saw her again. In fact, no one but Casey Anthony ever saw Kaylee Marie Anthony alive again. We've already shown you the last photographs taken of Kaylee Anthony. The next time a photograph is taken of Kaylee Anthony is on December 11th of 2008. The story of this case is not about Casey Anthony. It is about what happened between the photograph taken on Father's Day, June 15th, 2008, and the photograph taken on December 11th of 2008. What happened to Kaylee Marie Anthony? You will hear during the testimony in this case that no one had any idea anything had befallen Kaylee Marie Anthony until July 15th of 2008. How can that be? What happened between June 16th and July 15th? Where was Kaylee Marie? "30 days passed between the time that anyone but Casey Anthony saw Kaylee and when she was reported missing by her grandmother, Cindy Anthony." So what happened? Day 1, Monday, June 16th, 2008. Cell phone records for Casey Anthony show that she did not leave the area of her parents' house until after 4 p.m. that day, despite the fact that her father saw her leave the residence at 12:50. When she leaves, she tells her father, George, that she's going to spend the night with Kaylee, with a babysitter. She told her mother that she was going to spend the night with a babysitter by the name of Zanny. You will learn during the testimony and evidence in this case, there is no Zanny. Like Casey Anthony's job, Casey Anthony's babysitter was a figment of her imagination. There is no Zanny. So when Casey Anthony appears on a surveillance video at the Blockbuster with her boyfriend, Tony Lazzaro, on the night of June 16th of 2008 at 7:54 p.m., where is Kaylee Anthony? Day 2. Tuesday, June 17th, 2008. Casey Anthony's cell phone records show that she was at her boyfriend Tony's apartment until about 2 in the afternoon, at which point in time she traveled to Hope Spring Drive. Her her parents' house and was there from 2:45 p.m. until 4:30 in the afternoon. Her car was seen backed into the garage, according to a neighbor by the name of Brian Burdick. Brian Burdick didn't see Kaylee Anthony. Again, Casey Anthony told her mother, Cindy, that they would be spending the night again with Xana. She spent the night with Tony Lazzaro. Tony Lazzaro will testify. Kaylee wasn't there. So on Tuesday, June 17th of 2008, where is Kaylee Marie Anthony? Day 3, Wednesday, June 18th. Again, cell phone records established that Casey Anthony was in the area of Tony Lazzaro's apartment until about 12:30 in the afternoon. From 12:30 until 1:15 or so, Casey Anthony is attempting to call the house or her parents. Brian Burner, the neighbor, sees Casey Anthony again. Backs her car into the garage. And at about 1:30, 2:30 in the afternoon, asks Brian Burner if she can borrow a shovel. He will testify that she had the shovel for maybe an hour or so and returned it. He didn't notice anything unusual about its condition. George Anthony worked that day from 3 to 11 p.m. Cindy Anthony, again, inquiring about the whereabouts of her granddaughter, who had spent no more than a day away from her grandparents' home in her life. Casey Anthony told Cindy, her mother, that she was going to be at a conference in Tampa for work, and that Kaylee would be with Zanny and 2 other people, Juliet and Annabelle. Casey Anthony's story grows. There is no Zanny, there is no Juliet, there is no Annabelle. Casey Anthony spent Wednesday, June 18th with Tony Lazzaro that night. Tony will say Kaylee wasn't there. So on Wednesday, June 18th of 2008, where is Kaylee Marie Anthony? Day 4. Thursday, June 19th, 2008. George Anthony typically didn't work on Thursdays at that time. So there is no indication in Casey Anthony's cell phone records that she came back to the house at all. The cell phone records established that she was in the area of Tony Lazzaro's apartment for a lengthy period of time, traveling away from the apartment, and ultimately you will hear the testimony of an individual by the name of Matthew Chris, who will indicate that on that day, Casey Anthony was looking for apartments for her boyfriend, Tony Lazaro. Matthew Crisp and Tony Lazaro didn't see Kaylee Anthony that day. Casey Anthony was back at Tony Lazaro's apartment by 9 o'clock that night. Kaylee Anthony wasn't. So on June 19th of 2008, where is Kaylee Anthony? Day 5, Friday, June 20th, 2008. Again, because of his shifts, George Anthony is not working on that date. Cindy Anthony wants to know, question that at this point everyone wants to know, where is Kaylee Anthony? Casey Anthony tells her mother Cindy that she is still at a conference at Busch Gardens in Tampa, and that it's going to go over into Saturday. On Friday, June 20th, Casey Anthony went to a club called Fusion with her boyfriend, Tony Lazaro, and entered or participated in a hot body contest and was photographed at the hot body contest dancing. Kaylee Anthony wasn't there. Kaylee Anthony wasn't at Tony Lazaro's. Kaylee Anthony wasn't with her grandmother, Cindy. So where's Kaylee? Day 5 and day 6, the weekend, June 21 and June 22 of 2008, Casey Anthony did not return to the area of her parents' home, according to her cell phone records. But Cindy, her mother, kept pressing, where is Kaylee? We're still in Tampa. A friend of her boyfriend's roommate, a girl by the name of Maria Kish, who's at Tony's, says to Casey Anthony, where's Kaylee? Casey Anthony tells Maria Kish that Kaylee is at the beach. On Sunday, Cindy continues to press. Cindy Anthony, where is my granddaughter? I want to see my granddaughter. Where is she? Casey Anthony continues to tell her mother a lie about being in Tampa, about being in Busch Gardens, that the conference that she was at went late, that they decided to stay over at the hotel and then go to the park, Busch Gardens, on Sunday. Adding facts, adding details, trying to get her mother to believe that this is where she is and that Kaylee is with her. Day 8, Monday, June 23rd. Casey Anthony's cell phone records, you will hear, show that she is at Tony Lazaro's apartment until about 1:30 in the afternoon. That the cell tower records show that she did head in the direction of her parents' house at about 2:30 that afternoon. records show that Casey Anthony calls her boyfriend Tony Lazzaro about 2:45, saying that her car had run out of gas. Tony finds Casey, and Casey Anthony takes him to her parents' house, where they break into the shed and take her dad's gas can. Again, as you might imagine, Cindy Anthony is still inquiring about her granddaughter. Where is Kaylee? Casey Anthony spoke with her mother about 5:30 that afternoon and now adds another detail. Zanny was in a hospital in Tampa because she was in an accident on I-4. Coming back. And that Kaylee is with Juliet and Annabelle at a hotel while Casey Anthony tends to Zanny at this hospital in Tampa. You will hear, and we know from Casey Anthony's cell phone records, she wasn't in Tampa. She was at her parents' house taking her dad's gas cans with her boyfriend. Day 9, Tuesday, June 24th. George Anthony decides he's going to mow the lawn. And he goes to his shed where he keeps his gas can and his lawnmower, and he sees that the lock is broken. So George Anthony contacts the Orange County Sheriff's Office that somebody broke into his shed. And he fills out a statement for a deputy that came, goes and tells the neighbor, Brian Berner, or Brian Berner's son, that there's a vandal, that there's somebody stealing things in the neighborhood. Basically, keep a lookout. While George Anthony may have normally been at work that day, he ended up having an interview for another security job at 6:30 that evening, so he was at home. And at about 2:30, Casey Anthony shows up. No Kaylee, no Tony, just Casey in her white Pontiac Sunfire. Her dad is happy to see her, wants to know where Kaylee is. Tells Casey, I miss Kaylee, where is she? I'd like to see that little girl. We miss her. And Casey Anthony dismissively says, I have 10 minutes, I have to get back to work. George Anthony has an idea that the missing gas can may be in his daughter's possession. So he tells her he needs something from her car. And that he's going to go get it out of the trunk. At which point she brushes past him, goes to the trunk of the car, takes out the gas cans, throws them or pushes them in his direction, and says, here's your fucking cans. gets in her car, and leaves. Immediately starts calling her mother about it. On that day as well, you will hear from the testimony of another of Casey Anthony's friends by the name of Troy Brown, who received a Facebook message from Casey Anthony that she hasn't been at her parents' house for the last 9 days because of trauma. Day 10, June 25th of 2008. Casey Anthony begins to tell her friend Amy Huizenga that there is a smell in her car, and it seems to be coming from the engine. Cindy Anthony, as you might imagine, continued to ask for her granddaughter and was told, we're still at the hospital. Day 11, Thursday, June 26, 2008. You will hear that the cell phone records of Casey Anthony show that she was at Tony's all day. No Kaylee. Where's Kaylee? Again, Cindy Anthony presses, and Casey Anthony tells her that Zanny, this babysitter, was released late from the hospital. We're going to spend another night at the hotel. We've heard that before. Day 12, Friday, June 27th of 2008. You will hear that Casey Anthony's cell phone records show that around 11 a.m. that she is in the area of her parents' house on Hope Spring. And that she spent about half an hour in that area. And that shortly after 11:30 that morning, she begins to text Amy Huizenga, her friend, about a dead animal being plastered to the frame of her car. Within minutes of that text, Casey Anthony's white Pontiac Sunfire runs out of gas again. This time, at an Amscot on University Boulevard in Orlando, next to a dumpster. And so you will hear that Casey Anthony calls Tony Lazaro, her boyfriend, to come get her. He does, and when he does, she has with her what appears to be grocery bags full of either clothes or items from a refrigerator, someone's refrigerator. No Kaylee Anthony. You will see that video was taken of Casey Anthony and Tony Lazaro at a JCPenney's on June 27th of 2008 at 2:51 p.m. Tony will tell you that he thinks she bought some shoes. Because that night, they went back to Fusion Cindy Anthony, pressing her daughter, wants to know where Kaylee Anthony is. At this point, Casey tells her, well, we're back in town. I have a late meeting. I'm going to meet up with Jeff Hopkins. He's in Orlando, and we're going to stay with him at the Hard Rock Hotel. Now, there is a Jeff Hopkins that is an acquaintance of Casey Anthony, except that he wasn't in Orlando on June 27th, and he wasn't at the Hard Rock Hotel. And he didn't have contact with Casey Anthony. Jesse Grunn, you will hear, is a former fiance of Casey Anthony who had contact with her that day. He inquires after Kaylee, and she tells Jesse Grunn she's with the nanny. Amy Huizenga inquires about Kaylee, and she tells Amy Huizenga that Kaylee is at the beach. So on Friday, June 27th of 2008, where is Kaylee Anthony? Days 13 and 14, Sunday, June 28th and June 29th, the weekend. Again, Casey Anthony is telling her mother she's at the Hard Rock Hotel. Her cell phone records tell a different story. She's at Tony's. They're going to the movies. They rent a video at Blockbuster. Day 15, Monday, June 30th of 2008, Tony Lazzaro had a pre-planned trip to New York, where he's from. So Casey Anthony takes him to the airport, and he allows her full use of his car. Hers is still at the AMSCO, where it's been since Friday, next to the dumpster. But not for long. The manager at AMSCOT, you will learn, called a tow company, because this car is sitting in their lot next to the dumpster, and no one's come to claim it or get it or say anything about it. So Johnson's Wrecker, a local tow company, comes and tows Casey Anthony's white Pontiac Sunfire to their lot on Narcoossee Road in South Orlando, where it stays until July 15th of 2008. On June 30th, while Casey Anthony is in Tony's car and her car is being towed to Johnson's Wrecker, she goes to Target with Amy Huizenga and is captured on video. No Kaylee Anthony. She goes to the JCPenney's at Fashion Square Mall. No Kaylee Anthony on that video. She's back at Target before 9 o'clock that night. No Kaylee Anthony. Cindy Anthony, once again, pressing, pushing, wants to know, where's my granddaughter? And Casey Anthony tells her, again, that she's working late, and now Kaylee is with somebody named Jennifer Rosa, who is supposed to be a relative or a roommate of Zanny. And you will hear that Casey Anthony tells her mother, we're going to be staying with these people until July 3rd. And she tells her mother that Jennifer, Rosa, and Kaylee are going to go to Universal Studios. You will hear from the testimony in this case that the week of June 30th of 2008, all the way through the 4th of July weekend, Cindy Anthony was on vacation. And being on vacation, she wanted to spend time with her granddaughter, Kaylee, who at this point she has now not seen for over 2 weeks. So on Tuesday, July 1st, day 16, Cindy Anthony begins to insistently call Casey. On July 1st, with her boyfriend, Tony, now in New York, Casey Anthony doesn't have a place to stay. She's been staying with Tony for the last 2 weeks. So at 9 o'clock in the morning or so, she shows up at the apartment of her former fiance, Jesse Grunn, to take a shower. By 4 or 5 that afternoon, she's back at a JCPenney with her friend Amy. That evening, there are multiple calls from the Anthony household to Casey Anthony's cell phone trying to get a hold of her. You will learn that on that date, Casey Anthony went to the Ale House, which is a restaurant bar here in Orlando, with some guy friends she has. Cindy Anthony begins texting about where's Kaylee. And Casey Anthony tells her that Kaylee's at the park with this Jennifer Rosa. This pattern continues into Wednesday, July 2nd, day 17, where there were multiple attempts to call Casey Anthony from the Anthony home on Hope Spring. When Amy Huizenga asks Casey Anthony, where's Kaylee? She tells her she's with a nanny. And while all of that is going on around Casey Anthony, she makes an appointment to get a tattoo. She goes to Ross to buy some clothes or shoes. She goes to a nightclub called Voyage, another one called Mako, and then ultimately spends the night at Amy and Amy's roommate Ricardo's apartment. You will hear from the testimony and the evidence in this case that on day 18, Thursday, July 3rd, Cindy Anthony has had about enough of this. Again, she's on vacation. She's making multiple calls to Casey Anthony. Since Casey had said Kaylee's going to be at Universal Studios at a character breakfast, Cindy gets in her own car and drives to Universal Studios. She wants to see Kaylee.